All right, welcome back. This is going to be episode 4 on converting the Eflight 90mm Viper jet to a turbine. Tonight we're going to install the engine mounts, and we're going to do a little layup around the UAT to show you how I make that little cradle. So back in the model here, the next step is to cut some slots to mount the turbine engine, because the turbine's going to sit. Grab an engine here. Turbine's going to set in a location something like about here. Okay, so I spent a lot of time developing these tools. Good friend Ken Merle laser cut them for me, and I think they're going to work great. It doesn't get any simpler than this. Let me grab my 2 screws here. All right, so in the turbine install kit, you're going to get a piece of plywood like this. It just shows you the start of the engine mount, end of the engine mount. We're going to cut it with a 5/64 piece of music wire, and the music wire is going to stick out 2 inches from the surface here. So what I do is I got the piece of 5/64 music wire already set up in the vice grip, and it is sticking out exactly 2 inches. Okay, so what to do is we're going to start out, since we couldn't laser cut on both sides, I got to transfer the line over. Let me do that real quick here. There and there. So we're going to do the one first where the writing is up top, so we can see what's going on. So it's this side right here, forward, and we got the holes already cut into it, and we're just going to screw it down to the existing EDF mounting holes. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to do a dry run with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat the end of this up with a propane torch, and we're going to cut from that up to the existing plastic mount, and then we're going to go over here and cut from the existing plastic mount up to that line. Okay, so the piece of 5/64 music wire burns in a slot that a piece of 1/8 inch ply fits really good. So let's do it. So you only really need to heat the end of the wire that's going to be in contact with the foam, because if you heat the whole wire, it's going to burn in to the plywood and make some grooves, and it's not going to work real well. So I'm just pretty much going to be heating up the last 1/2 inch of this. Okay. So you don't want it cherry red hot. You want it warm. It's going to take a couple cuts to do it. Hold it flat against the template. Cut in. Come straight out. The key is to hold it flat up against the template. You don't want to rock in or anything, because that's going to make the plywood at an angle. So just keep it nice and flat against the plywood template, and you'll be fine. So this is going to be a longer cut. It's probably going to take 3 times to do this. Maybe only 2. There we go. All right, that side's done. Let's see how we did. So we'll pop this sucker out. And then the plywood mounts, they're going to be laser cut also here. One thing I got to do is break the edge on it. Hang on. He's got to break this sharp edge just a little bit. So let's see how she fits in there. There you go, just like that. All right, so we're going to get that out of the way and do the other side here. So now we're just going to flip the mount over. And then I added the lines on the other side. As you can see, you know, it burnt in a little bit. Not an issue at all. And we're going to go ahead and screw this one down. All right, and do the same thing. I got Mrs. Applebaum doing this video here, so if it's a little different, it'll be okay. Easier for me to start at the top here. Got about 1/4 inch left. There we go. There we go. So I will be including the piece of 5/64 music wire with the install kit. So we'll unscrew this one. Let's see how the mounts fit. This one is already beveled. You know, as you can see, I mean, they fit in there really nice. I mean, that's as good as it gets. And we're going to bond these in tonight too. I just want to verify that the engine and pipe are going to fit in okay. Do a little bevel on this one. I mean, that's as good as it gets. So now the engine should fit in between these. There we go, just like that. Very little slop side to side, okay? Now you guys are using the K45 King Tex. Since the mounts are a little bit wider, what you need to do is this cut right here, you need to extend that forward parallel with this plane right here, and the engine should fit in there just fine. It just the way the mounts are designed on the K45, it is something you have to do. So I want to verify that the tailpipe's going to fit in there too before we bond them in. I rough cut these down to about a 1/2 inch. They're just rough cut now. So tailpipe's going to go, I don't have the aft ring in there yet. And the engine's going to go in like this. And then the tailpipe. So there's plenty of room to be moving the tailpipe forward and aft. And what we're going to do is I like to locate the forward edge of the bell mouth just in line with the aftmost portion of these screws right here. And that gives you the 1-inch gap that everybody likes. So everything's looking good. As far as I'm concerned, the mounts are ready to bond in. Before we do that, I want to draw a line on them so we don't have glue smeared all over the place where we don't need it. So I'm just going to run a little pencil line around everything here. And try to get it underneath. Okay, so, you know, I mean, the mounts, I mean, they fit super nice. I mean, and then I like to glue the mounts in before I actually locate the engine, just in case something moves around that throws the whole pattern off. So I think you're better off bonding them in first, and then on the next video, we will actually locate the engine and tailpipe exactly where it's going to go. Before I put these in, I'm gonna supply. This is a laser cut part 2 that's gonna go in the model. I'm brush coating it with 2 coats of BVM heat shield. That's the only heat shielding that basically goes in the model, and it's expensive. I used to just piece this in with balsa wood. It was a real pain in the butt. So I developed a nice template. Ken Merle laser cut them, and they fit really good. So we're going to do a dry fit right here. It just basically closes up the tunnel for the speed controller, so that your elevator and rudder wires don't come in contact with the turbine. So I'm really happy with these. They fit really good. I'm going to glue these in with E6000 before the mounts, and it's just going to be a little bit easier to do. And before we do this, I just need to lightly scuff the foam a little bit. So I'm brush coating these because, you know, it didn't take me any time. I had the brush out and, you know, put it on 2 coats of the BVM heat shield. So I just decided to do them all. So really, you guys will really need no heat shield at all to do the model. And, you know, these are all exactly the same. I think they're going to work out great. Before we bond this in, I just want to lightly scuff everything that the E6000 is going to come in contact with. You basically just need to break the little glaze that's on the foam so that it bites. And I put a little pencil line up there so I know how far to bring the glue up to. So you don't got to get carried away. You just need to break the glaze. Okay. So My E6000 tube kind of was a little hard on the end, so I had to cut open the tube and jam some in a syringe. And really, it makes it a little bit easier. So in this area right here, I'm just gonna put a bead down. Like that. And over here like that. And then on the rest of this, I'm just gonna try to run a bead around without making a big mess. And you can buy E6000 in these little bitty packages, like at Michael's, or sometimes Walmart has it, and they're pretty convenient because if you open up a big tube, most of the time it's going to dry up before you use it all. Okay, there we go. We're going to go ahead and bond this in. It's going to get a little messy. I mean, this is way easier than I used to do it. There we go. I mean, it's as easy as it gets. Walk away. Let me wipe my hands off. All right, now we're ready to glue in the mounts. I like to glue these in with Gorilla Glue because it expands a little bit and it bites really good. And you know, it's not a perfectly smooth surface for this to go in, and it's going to fill all the pores and all that. So let me make sure I know which one goes where. This one goes there. So, you know, you don't got to get carried away with this stuff. And then we're going to lightly dust it with water. Okay. So what I do is, I mean, I don't hose it on or anything. I just kind of grab a mist out of the air. That's all you need. And then you just slide it on in. Oh shoot, I put it on the wrong side. That's all right. Here we go. Okay, that's that. We'll glue up the next one. And this is the first model I'm really supplying all the wood parts with. All the other models I've done, I let the modeler do the wood cutting and all that, and it's surprising how many guys nowadays don't even have any 1/8" plywood laying around. So, you know, I'm trying to make it as easy as I can. You know, you don't need a lot. Gonna dust it again. Just a minuscule amount. That's it. Walk away. Okay. So everything's looking good. We'll let it dry. I'll kind of keep an eye on this. I can, 15 minutes, I'll come by and just make sure it hasn't pushed out or anything, which I don't think it will. If you look at this one, I did this one earlier today. And you know, you can see it, you know, it foamed up a little bit, but I mean, that's like the perfect amount for it to foam up. And it's not going anywhere. Okay, so that's that for tonight. I'm gonna close out the video tonight. We're gonna make a little cradle. When I put the UATs in on the last video, I had a custom cradle made. I'm going to show you guys how to make them real quick. After we make this one, we're going to pop this one off and trim it, and I'll show you how it pops off. So what we do is we just take the normal MAP 2-ounce UAT, put some masking tape around the fittings so no contaminants get into it. And then I just take a piece of basically like a food saran wrap. I mean, the plastic's probably 2/10,000ths of an inch thick. I mean, it's very, very thin. And I'm just gonna dust it with spray adhesive, just like that. Now I'm gonna take the, didn't put any on here, so now I'm just gonna take the saran wrap, I'm gonna fold it around, and I'm just gonna kind of bunch it up. And what this is gonna do, it's gonna create a barrier so I don't slobber epoxy all over the UAT, and it just keeps everything real neat. And then the plastic's just gonna pop right off. So I'm gonna just put a quick grip on here to hold it while I do my little layup. And if you don't put any release on this, you know, sometimes the plastic sticks with the epoxy. So I just use a little wax. I'm not even gonna buff it off. A little mold release wax. So I'm just gonna wipe on a thin film, or else you'll be picking the plastic off little piece by piece. Okay, so that's ready to go. And I got my fiberglass pre-cut already. I made up 2 templates. We're gonna do 2 plies of 2-ounce glass on the bottom here. And I got a size of, I think it's like 2 inches by 3 inch, where it's gonna overlap on all the areas. And you notice I have my fiber orientation marked at a 45 degrees. So my cloth is actually, the fibers are running in the cloth like that. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna make it drape around the edges real nice. And it's not gonna give me any trouble. As far as the sides, it's gonna be 2 layers of a 2-ounce. It's pretty much gonna wrap around here. And once again, the fiber orientation is on a 45. So let me mix up a little bit of epoxy real quick. So I'm using wet system epoxy. You could use Z-epoxy finishing resin or anything. You probably use 30-minute epoxy if you can thin it out a little bit. It's not going to take much. This here is 5 grams of resin to 1 gram of hardener. It's a 5-to-1 mix. Okay, so we're going to take this sucker here. I'm basically going to brush a little thin coat over the whole thing where the layup's going to be. Okay. Put some around the edge there. like that. And with the fiber orientation on a 45, I mean, it makes all the difference in the world. The cloth just behaves wonderfully. Add a little resin. So now we're going to put the bottom on here. It's going to try to overlap everything. It's like that. Now watch how these corners just conform. See that? If you try to do that with the fibers at a 0.90, it's going to really fight you. And so I'll put this second layer on. There's nothing to it. And you know, you don't have to make a fancy holder for your UAT. I just like them solid in the model. You can block it in with foam or whatever you want, but using this method, I mean, they're easy to come out, and they're solid. It's not going anywhere. All right, so that's good. Put this on here. Watch that corner just go down. You know, a lot of guys are afraid of fiberglass, and I don't know, I've been doing it 30 plus years, and it's all technique. Okay, there we go. We got 2 layers wrapped around there. Nothing to it. So this one that I did earlier today, it's basically the same thing. I did run some sandpaper around there to take all the sharp edges off. And I drew a line where I want the trim, okay? So I'm going to bring the trim around the front here a little bit, in the back, and then angle them. So it should just pop right out of here. There you go. So since I put a little wax on there, plastic's coming out fairly nice. There we go. Pop over here, we're going to trim it. Go. Doesn't weigh hardly anything. These are the UAT. I didn't really contaminate it at all. Just a slight tackiness to it from the spray adhesive. And there's your perfect cradle. Okay. And once again, you can bond this cradle. You know, I wrapped the, if we look inside this model here, I wrapped a layer of Velcro around it, shoved a couple little shims on the side, and then we hot glued it in at that about 25-degree angle, and it's solid as a rock. All right, that's all I've got for tonight. The next video, we will be drilling the engine mounts, the tailpipe brackets will be drilled into the model. We'll work with the tailpipe ring and a couple little other knickknacks, and it's starting to wrap up. Thanks for watching.